Today we are going to start the first chapter in mathematics, ratio, proportion, indices and log. Being the first chapter in mathematics, I want to give an introduction about this paper. This paper has got three parts: mathematics, logical reasoning and statistics. An objective type paper where you have multiple choice questions and the time given to solve a problem is only 72 seconds, and there is a negative marking as well. So, the challenge lies not in solving the problem, but the challenge lies in solving the problem in 72 seconds. Now, solving a problem as such is definitely not a challenge, because the level of questioning in this paper is only up to 10th standard, except for a few chapters like calculus and statistics. All other chapters are in the level of 10th grade. So, it is not difficult to get a solution, but it is difficult to get the solution in the time given, which is 72 seconds. So, you need to be very strong in basics of mathematics, and you should have good practice. If you are very strong in basics, almost all chapter will be very easy for you. So, with this very brief introduction on this paper, let me start the introduction to simple formulae, followed by introduction to ratios and then proportion, then indices, then we will go to log. Now, friends, I am going to talk about some basic formulae in mathematics. So, if you know this formulae, good. It's only a kind of refreshing or recollecting. If you don't know, I would say very good. At least now you will come to know about it. Okay, right. Now, I am going to start with the basic formulae in mathematics. So, we do not call it as formulas. Formulas is a wrong usage in mathematics. Formula is a singular, formulae is a plural. So, whenever you talk about many formula, we should use the word formulae, not formulas. Now, the basic formula which I am going to talk about is a plus b the whole square. So, when I say this, all of you would be very happy because you know the answer, which is a square plus 2ab plus b square. Number 2, a minus b the whole square, a square minus 2ab plus b square. These two formulae all of you know pretty well, and you are quite happy about asking this question because you know the answer. We are basically happy to take a question for which we know the answer, but on the other hand, you get a question for which you don't know the answer. We are not that comfortable to take that question. Now, I am going to give such question to you: a plus b the whole cube normally if I say a plus b whole square in a class of 100 students, I get a chorus like even the next building will know the formula, like that students will say. But if I say a plus b whole cube, the volume reduces to less than half. That means less than 50% of the students only know this answer, a plus b whole cube, as compared to a plus b whole square. Why? Because they forget these formulae. Now, I am going to write, then tell you the logic how you should be writing it. It is a cube plus 3a square b plus 3ab square plus b cube. If I want to write a minus b the whole cube, it is a cube minus 3a square b plus 3ab square minus b cube. Now, is there a way where I can remember this formulae? Easily you can remember. Do you know, or do you rather have ever seen this kind of, an arrangement? And all of you would be very, happy to see this arrangement. I would say arrangement. But many of you will know that it's called a Pascal's triangle, where the sum of two numbers is written in the middle in the next row, like 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 and 1 in the end. So we write 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 1 is 3 and 1. Then 1, 1 plus 3 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 plus 1, 4, 1. If I write like this, rather you are quite happy about, writing, and you may be wondering why I am not writing the next line. Rather, all of you would be saying what will come in the next line, that I am able to hear, that you want me to write 1, and yes, I am hearing, good, 5, then 10, then 10, then 5, then 1. Very good. So, I am able to hear some voice from you, and whatever you said is perfect. And you can keep on expanding this. And if you understand this logic, I wonder why you should not know a plus b the whole cube. Now, if this is going to be a plus b whole square, the next one is a plus b whole cube, the next one is a plus b whole power 4, the next one is a plus b whole power 5. How this is related to a plus b whole square? Now, we call the a plus b whole square as binomial expansion. In mathematics, bi means 2. Two parameters are there, a, b. Binomial expansion. I expand the binomial expression. Okay. What logic is there? You remember the line 1 to 1. Now, a plus b whole square I want to write. Now, take the first term, a. What is the highest power? A plus b whole square, power 2. So, supply the power 2 to the first term, a square. But do you need to write any coefficient, a number attached to that? Yes, you need to attach. What? This 1 you will attach. So, 1 into a square. Okay. Plus, what you do, first you wrote a square, isn't it? Cut 1 power from a square, you get a. Give that power to b, ab. Add the coefficient to ab. Over. Now go to the next term. Now I have a here, right? Cut one power from a, so that becomes 0. Add that power to b, already b power is 1, b square. You need to add the coefficient 1 here. So I would say a square plus 2ab plus b square. Now what is a plus b the whole cube? A cube plus 3, what we wrote, a cube. So now a square, give that one to b plus 3, now you wrote a square, now a, earlier you wrote b square, so 3ab square plus b cube. You want to write the next term, a power 4 plus 4ab cube plus 6a square b square plus 4ab cube plus b power 4, and this keeps going. So you may ask, sir, how do I write a minus b the whole square? Friends, always you start with positive and then the negative, positive, negative will come alternate. Now I am going to write a minus b the whole square, a square minus 2ab plus b square. Got it? Now what is a minus b the whole cube? A cube minus 3a square b plus 3ab square minus b cube over. Now come to the next one. What is a minus b the whole power 4? A power 4 minus 4 a cube b plus 6 a square b square minus 4 ab cube plus b power 4, and this can go on. Now you will agree with me that there is no need for you to by heart the formula a plus b whole square or a plus b whole cube. In fact, you can expand a plus b whole power n. Okay, I am going to do that shortly. But then, before that, I want you to add up the coefficients where I am going to say some concept here. Now, add up all the coefficients 1 to 1, what you get? It's a very simple question. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. When you add up the next row, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1 plus 3, 4, 4 plus 3, 7, 7 plus 1, 8. You add up the next line, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1, 5, 11, 15, 16. Good. And then the next line, 6, 16, 26, and then 31, 32. Now, do you find any relationship in these numbers? 4, 8, 16, 32. Now, basically what I did, I added all the coefficients in the binomial expansion. Shall I repeat? What I did? I added all the coefficients of binomial expansion. If the power is 2, my summation is 4. What is this column? This is the power of the binomial expansion, and this is the total or sum of the binomial expansion. Do you find any relationship here? If the power is 2, the sum is 4. If the power is 3, sum is 8. If the power is 4, the sum is 16. If the power is 5, the sum is 32. Do you find any relationship here which you can apply in common for all the lines? Yes, I do find. It is 2 square, 2 cube, 2 power 4, 2 power 5. Therefore, what I can say? I can say the sum of coefficients of binomial expansion of power n is equal to 2 power n. And one more thing I want to tell you, if I do a plus b whole power n, I get nc0 a power n plus nc1 a power n minus 1 into b plus nc2 a power n minus 2 into b square, etc. nc n minus 1 a power n minus 1 into b plus ncn into b power n. So, what are the coefficients? The coefficients are, the sum of coefficients are nc0 plus nc1 etc. up to ncn. You are going to study in the combinations chapter as nc0 to ncn summation is 2 power n. Now, you will recollect this concept, the coefficients of sum of the coefficients in the binomial expansion of power n is given by 2 power n is going to be related with the combinations concept nc0 plus nc1 etc. up to ncn is equal to 2 power n. Okay. Now friends, do you agree that a plus b whole square and a plus b whole cube is not a difficult one for you to remember? Yes? Okay. Right. Now, we'll go to the next basic concept. Now, I would say that you need to be very good in numbers. Okay. Like squaring and cube of numbers, you should know a minimum of 1 to 25 squares and 1 to 12 in cubes. Of course, you are going to be allowed a calculator to do that. You tell me, suppose I ask 17 square, immediately I will say 289. You use your calci and tell me, let me see who is faster. I will be faster, right? So, you will all agree that it is rather easy to use your mind than use your calci. Okay? So, I am going to write the squares and cubes of numbers. 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 is 9, 4 16, 5 25, 6 square 36, 7 49, 8 64, 9 is 81, 10 square is 100. This you know very well. And 11, 121, 12, 144, 13 square, 169, 14 square, 196, 15 square, 225, 16 square, 256, 17 square, 289, 18 square, 324, 19 square, 361, 20 square, 400. right? Then at least up to 25 we should know. 21, 441, 22 square 484, 23 square 529, 24 576, 25 square 625. This is something which is, basic you should know. Okay, right. And then cube, at least up to 12 you should know. 1 cube, what is 1 cube? 1. 2 cube, 8. 3 cube, 27. 4 cube, 64. 5 cube, 125. 6 cube, 216. 7 cube, 343. 8 cube, 512. 9 cube, 729. 10 cube, 1000. 11 cube, 1331. 12 cube, 1728. So, minimum, I am saying minimum you should know this. Okay? And there are a lot of techniques, to remember the squaring of numbers, okay, product of special numbers, and you can find a lot of material in Vedic mathematics. Let me share a few with you. Now, I'll take a number 9999 into 1234. You can take your calculator and make a product. I'm very sure that I'll be faster than you. I'm going to write the answer. It's going to be an 8-digit number 1, 2, 3, 3, 8, 7, 6, 6. 1 crore 23 lakhs 38,766 is the answer. Now, you may wonder how I am doing this. It's a very simple thing to do. 9999 into any 4-digit number. The logic is very simple. What number you are taking to multiply? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, subtract 1 from that. What is the number? 1, 2, 3, 3. Good, fair enough. Okay. Now, the next 4-digit number is going to be a kind of a subtraction. What is 9 minus 1? 8. What is 9 minus 2? 7. What is 9 minus 3? 6. What is 9 minus 3? 6. That's all. As simple as that. You can verify using your calci. Now, you can do another number 9999 into 5678. We can write the number as 56774322. This is the answer. So, when you are strong in numerals, numbers, you can do a lot. Okay. So, you will find more material from Vedic mathematics. You may wonder why this person is talking about numbers and other stuff than giving an intro to ratio and proportion. I would say this is very, very important. Basically, the analytical ability is very, very important for a chartered accountant. So, you need to be very strong in numbers. There are many chapters where if you are able to do the mind calculation, you can get the solution so fast, right? So, that is the reason I am giving a very brief introduction. I can talk for a day, full day on introduction to mathematics, but I am not going to do that. I am going to restrict to very small, very brief intro to the subject mathematics. Okay, friends, now what we have seen is the squaring and cube of numbers, and I cannot restrict me in saying one more information here. Now, I want you to just look at what is 2 cube. Now 2 cube is 8. What is 8 cube? 512. Do you find a relationship here? A number ending with 2, a number ending with 2, when you cube, you get an answer. That answer is a number ending with 8. When you take a number ending with 8 and you cube it, you get a number ending with 2. So 2 and 8 are friends in cubing of numbers. So 12 cube, you need not check any answer. The answer will end with 8. Similarly, what is 3 cube? 27. So 7 cube will be a number ending with 3. Very simple, 343. So in cubing of numbers, 2 and 8 are friends and 3 and 7 are friends. You understand? Okay. I would not say this will fetch you mark. I would only say this will act as a catalyst. We call catalyst in a chemistry, where catalyst will not change the basic equation, basic transformation reaction rather, but then it will speed up the chemical reaction. We call it as a catalyst. So similarly here, knowledge about numbers will add value, will give you very fast solution. Okay. Now I'll continue with the introduction in the next slide. So we'll continue with the basics. I'll take a square of side A, area of a square, we all know it is A square, and perimeter is 4A. Perimeter is 4A. Sum of all sides, and length of the diagonal. Length of the diagonal is this. Is what length of the diagonal? A into root 2. This I will connect with the Pythagoras theorem later. Now we will note that length of the diagonal of a square is A root 2. We'll take a rectangle. Length and breadth. Area of rectangle L into B. Perimeter 2 into L plus B. Length of the diagonal root of L square plus B square. So basics continue. Triangle, if you take a triangle, has got 3 sides and 3 angles. Okay, 3 angles normally we denote by A, B and C. The sides we write as A, B and C. Now angle A plus angle B plus angle C, sum of the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees, and A plus B is always greater than C. That is sum of any two sides of a triangle is always greater than the third side. Sum of any two sides of triangle is always greater than the third side. Now, we take a different types of triangle. Right angled triangle, where one angle will be 90 degree and the height is taken as h and the length of the base is taken as b. Area is 1 by 2 into base into height. And here Pythagoras theorem it applies only for a right angled triangle. So, I will take the two sides as AB and the hypotenuse side as C. Pythagoras theorem says A square plus B square is equal to C square. Okay. The theorem goes like this. Sum of squares of any two sides of triangle is equal to the square on the hypotenuse. Okay. Right. Now, 3, 4, 5. Whether it forms a right angle triangle? Yes, it is. 3 square plus 4 square is equal to 5 square. It forms a right angle triangle. And what is specialty about this 3, 4, 5 dimension? It is the only right angle triangle in the world where the dimensions differ from other by 1 unit. 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. There is no other triangle like this which forms a right angle triangle. Now, do you come across any such type of right angle triangle? Very simple, double it. When you double, what you get? 6, 8 and 10. Whether 6, 8 and 10 form a right angle triangle? Yes, 6 square is 36, 8 square is 64, sum you get 100 which is 10 square. Again you double it, 12, 16 and 20. 12 square is 144, 16 square is 256, add you get 400 which is 20 square. 5, 12 and 13. 5 square is 25, 12 square is 144, add you get 169 which is 13 square. 15, 20 and 25. 15 square is 225, 20 square is 400, add you get 625. So, which is 25 square. So, I am giving a examples for dimensions of a right angled triangle. Okay, right. So, now we will go to the next one. So, we will continue with the basic concepts. Now, I will start with the basics of ratios. First, the definition. What is the definition of a ratio? So, ratio will be of the form A by B. Okay. Definition of ratio is the relationship, ratio is the relation between two like, very important, I will explain what is like, mathematical quantity. It is written in the form of a ratio is A by B, where we know A is the numerator. Technically it is called antecedent. B, what we write in the denominator, is called consequent. Antecedent and consequent. We say ratio is a relation between two like mathematical quantity. Why do we say it is a like mathematical quantity? You can find a relation between two quantities. For example, A is 2 kgs, B is 5 kgs. I want to find A by B, which is 2 by 5. Now, another example, A is 500 grams, B is 2 kgs. Can I find A by B? The answer is no. Why? A and B are not two like mathematical quantities, so you cannot find a ratio. And the points worth noting about ratio, it is a unit-free measure. What is a unit-free measure? In the first example, I wrote 2 by 5. Whether it is 2 by 5 kgs, 2 by 5 liters, it is simply a number 2 by 5. There is no unit of measurement attached in ratios. So, coming to the second example, I want to find A by B, but I said it is not possible to find. Why? A is in grams, 2 is in kgs. Can we say not possible? Yes, it is not possible to write a ratio for these two quantities. When I say not possible, the next question comes, how can you make it possible? Positive way of looking at life also. Many times we come across no, it's not possible. Think a moment, how you can make it possible. Okay, like that, the initial reaction is no, I cannot write this ratio, but then think whether it is possible to do it. Think how to make it possible. Now A is 500 grams. What is the condition for you to write a ratio? The two quantities should be a like mathematical quantity. 500 grams and 2 kg, I cannot write a ratio. But I can write 2 kg as 200 grams. So, now I can say 1:4. You understand? So, when you convert all the quantities or both the quantities into like measure, then it is possible to write a ratio. So, the definition of ratio is that it is a relationship between two like mathematical quantity. It is written in the form A by B. A, what is written in the numerator, is called antecedent. B, what you write in the denominator, is called consequent. Ratio is a unit-free measure. Okay, let us see what are the properties of ratios. Now, the ratio what I had taken is A by B. Okay. Now, I am going to write inverse ratio. What is inverse ratio? B by A. The ratio what I had taken is A by B. So, the inverse of that is B by A. Then, duplicate. Duplicate of the ratio means you have to square it. A square by B square. Triplicate. What is triplicate of ratio? A cube divided by B cube is a triplicate of the ratio. Then subduplicate. What is subduplicate? Square root of A divided by square root of B. Root A by root B is called, subduplicate of a ratio. Do we have a subtriplicate? Yes, we do have. Cube root of A divided by cube root of B is a subtriplicate. Can we write an example? 8 by 27 is there. What is the subtriplicate of this? 2 by 3. 8 by 27 is a given ratio. Subtriplicate is cube root. What is cube root of 8? 2. What is cube root of 27? 3. So, subtriplicate of 8 by 27 is 2 by 3. Then, compound. What is compounding of a ratio? What is compounding of a ratio? Suppose I have A by B and C by D. A by B multiplied by C by D. That is AC by BD is called compounding. Okay. So, this is the introduction about ratio, and we will see more in the problems and solution series. You can see more ratios there. The concept wise, this is what a ratio means. Okay. Now we will go to proportion. What is a proportion? Equality of two ratios is called a proportion. So, I will take two ratios, A by B is equal to C by D. When we write, we call it as a proportion. Four quantities A, B, C, D are said to be in proportion when A by B is equal to C by D. When you do the cross multiplication, what you get? AD is equal to BC. A into D is equal to B into C. So, what you can understand is, if four quantities A, B, C, D are in proportion, product of the extremes. Extreme is the numbers which are in the end, is equal to product of the means, which is the middle number B and C. So, product of that BC is equal to product of the means is BC. So, product of the extremes is equal to product of the means. So, this is one principle we need to understand. Then, suppose A, B and C are in proportion, three quantities are in proportion. What we understand? A by B is equal to B by C. When you do cross multiplication, what we get? B square is equal to AC. Then what is B? B is equal to square root of AC. So, we say the middle term B is the geometric mean of other two terms. If three terms A, B, C are in proportion, the middle term is the geometric mean of the other two terms. Okay? Right. Now, we will see the properties of proportion. What are the properties? First property, basic proportion I am taking is A by B is equal to C by D. So, first property is invertendo. What is invertendo property? You invert the given ratio. So, B by A will be equal to D by C. This is called invertendo property. Number 2. Alternando. What is alternando? In alternando, the B and C will get interchanged. What happens if B and C get interchanged? A by C is equal to B by D. This property is called alternando. Number 3. Componendo. What is componendo? Add the denominator to numerator. So, I am writing in bracket what simply we mean, add the denominator to numerator. That means what? What is the first ratio? A by B. What is denominator? B. Add B to numerator. So, what you get? A plus B divided by B is equal to C plus D divided by B. When you write like this, we call it as a componendo. Compound, basically it means addition. Then dividendo. Subtract the denominator to numerator. That is a principle. A minus B by B is equal to C minus D by D. This property is called dividendo property. Now, componendo and dividendo. That means what? Add the denominator to numerator. Okay? Then subtract the denominator add the numerator in denominator. So, in numerator what you do, basically I will add the denominator a plus b. In the denominator what I do, I will do minus of b and plus of a minus b is equal to c plus d by c minus d. Now, writing like this is called componendo and dividendo property. Immediately you may ask, sir, what is the property name for a minus b by a plus b is equal to c minus d by c plus? Is it called dividendo and componendo? No such property as of today is available. You can call it as an invertendo of componendo and dividendo. So, only componendo and dividendo properties available as of today. The next property is called addendo. What is this addendo property? Now, I have a by b is equal to c by d is equal to etc. is equal to k. We call each ratio is equal to k. Now, the addendo property says a plus c plus etc. divided by b plus d plus etc. will also be equal to k. That is what is called as a addendo property. Now, I am going to take it with an example. 1 by 2 is equal to 3 by 6 is equal to 4 by 8, isn't it? Correct, no? So, what is the value of this 0.5? Now, what it is said, the 0.5 will not change if I add all the numerator and add all the denominator and write. When I add all the numerator, what I get? 1 plus 3 plus 4 divided by add all the denominator 2 plus 6 plus 8. Numerator I get 8, denominator I get 16, still it is 0.5. You understand? So, when you add all the numerators and add all the denominator, the basic ratio has not changed. The property of adding all the numerator, that's why it's called addendo. Then we have one more property called subtrahendo. What is subtrahendo? A by b is equal to c by d is equal to etc. up to k. Now, k can be written as a minus c minus etc. divided by b minus d minus etc. Now, if you take the same example, now come on, tell me now, what is 1 minus 3 minus 4? What is 1 minus 3 minus 4? 1 minus 3 is minus 2 minus 4 is minus 6. Divided by, what is 2 minus 6 minus 8? Minus 12. Still it is 0.5, isn't it? Right? So, these are the properties of proportion. You understand? So, what we have done, we have taken the properties of ratios, intro to property, and then introduction, intro to ratios property, and intro to proportion, and the properties we have discussed. Basically, what is the proportion definition? It is the equality of two ratios. Equality of two ratios is called a proportion, and we have seen the properties. And based on these properties, we will have problems in the question answer session. Okay. Now, we will take the next section, which is called indices. Thank you for your patient listening.